What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my builds guide and unit review of Mauvier. He's gonna be our latest Ranger Battle unit and he's a Lance Cavalier with 185 BST and he has got Penitent Lance as his preferred weapon. So this gives him +3 defense, and at start of turn, if his HP is at or above 25%, then he can give himself and the allies in 2 spaces the Hexblade status and also the Null Panic status. So he's the first free-to-play unit who's able to give out the Null Panic status to the other allies and also Hexblade status at the same time. So it does make him a bit more unique. So Hexblade status is going to be giving you that adaptive damage and Null Panic is going to be protecting you against any kind of panic debuff. And it also helps you activate the prime skills, distant counter or close counter condition. So he can easily be used with many of the tanks and then they can activate their prime skills. And Mauvier himself is able to use the prime skills really well because he's able to give himself 2 status effects and then he can run another status effect Slothy skill and pretty much get 3 status effects, and you'll have to outsource another status effect and then he's going to be able to get the full distant counter effect out of it. He's also going to be having in combat effects where it is going to be checking for his HP and it does give him guaranteed follow-up attack, which is good because he's really slow with that 18 base speed. And it also debuffs opponents' attack and defense. Unfortunately, it doesn't really debuff the resistance of the enemies, even though he does have the Hexblade status. But still, he's going to be able to debuff the attack and defense of the foe depending on the number of bonus status effects active on him multiplied by 2 and then added by 6. So if he has got 3 status effects active on him, then he's going to be getting the max -12 attack and defense debuff on the foe. And then again, he's just going to be checking for the number of bonus status active on him. And if it's 3 or more, then he's able to get the Weaving Fighter type of damage reduction where you get 80% damage reduction on foes' first attacks, including the Brave Hits, if they can make a follow-up attack, and if they cannot make a follow-up attack, then he's going to be getting 40% damage reduction. So because he's so slow, he's going to be getting doubled pretty much most of the time. So he does want the enemies to double him so that he can get the better damage reduction and get the max 80% damage reduction, which is really good for tanking. But keep in mind, all of this damage reduction is going to be completely pierceable, and there are a lot of nukes that do pierce through damage reduction, so you have to watch out for them. So Mauvier is going to be able to function as a supportive Lance Cavalier, and he himself is going to be pretty tanky with that base 46 defense, which does have a super boon, and he also has base 35 resistance. His attack is also pretty good at base 44, and speed is going to be the main dump stat. So just to give you an idea, he is really bulky even compared to premium 5-star Lance Cavalier like Mycin. As you can see, he is going to be having more physical bulk with more defense and HP, even though he does have a bit less attack and raw resistance. And compared to Geralt, he is going to be a complete upgrade when it comes to the stat spread of being a bulky Lance Cavalier, because he doesn't really waste a lot of stat points in his speed like Geralt, and instead he goes with that in his defense and resistance. So a pretty good stat line, all things considered, for a free-to-play unit where we have gotten a lot of free-to-play units with middling speed. At least he's going to be focusing on his bulk, and for his IVs, he's mainly going to be focusing on his attack and also on his defense if you're going to be ascending an asset. Mauvier's skills are unfortunately not really worth foddering him for because Heal Attack 3 is laughable in 2024. And Rouse Attack Defense 3 is present at 4-star, so at least it is going to be helping you if you're going to be trying to get Alarm Attack Defense on Mauvier, which is easily one of his best Slothy skills, if not the best one. And overall, he's going to be functioning as a solid support unit with this kind of preferred weapon, and he is going to be useful for activating the prime skills, and he can also be used in Aether Raids offense and actually can be away 3 spaces from any kind of ally. So a lot of times while tanking, you might have seen units like Yune and Duo Sanaki take advantage of the allies in 2 spaces of you, and even if you survive through the enemy phase, the next turn you're not able to give the status effects to your units unless you've got someone like Garrick, Peony, or Legendary Eliwood who have the global range. So that way at least Mauvier is going to be able to give the Null Panic and the Hexblade status even on the subsequent turns, even if you're 3 spaces away. So that flexibility is going to be good for a tank support, and if you already have a lot of tank support units, then you might not really be incentivized to build him up. And he has the Slow Cavalier stat line, which also many people don't really like, so maybe that could be a point of contention. But overall, he's going to be a unique free-to-play unit who can provide you with 2 status effects. Mauvier can be built up on a budget just as a buff bot because he already gives the Null Panic status, so buffing up the stats of your units is good because you're going to be safe from panic and he can just run speed defense link 3 and reposition from Norn and run attack tactic and resistance tactic sacred seal. Attack defense solo is something you can run on super budget, but if you're going to be spending at least the divine codes on him, then you can give him the fodder from Zeke and give him attack defense catch 4 and also lull attack defense. And defense res menace actually works out with Mauvier because he does have the hexblade status, so it is something you can run if you're not going to be having the other premium fodder. And then distant counter melee sacred seal is going to be pretty good because Mauvier has a lot of damage reduction and he does have good resistance to take on many of the mages, so he can be used for tanking the ranged enemies. And in Aether Raids offense, he's going to be useful for the tank support, so he could be run as a support unit with speed defense ruse 4 and also alarm attack defense, which is going to be giving him another status effect for his weapon. And mainly he's going to be there for the support, so he can just run the ruse skill and double down on the support. And the null panic that he gives out is actually really useful along with the debuff neutralization status of Peony, because then you're going to be completely immune to any kind of debuffs and also any kind of panic effect. So it is an option for Aether Raids offense. And if you use any kind of unit with a prime skill, then Mauvier could be used to give 2 status effects, and then you can get the other 2 status effects with Peony, who is going to be a staple on the light teams. Mauvier doesn't really have -1 special cooldown in his weapon, so he could be running Gambit, but it is not really the ultimate slot B skill for him as it is for many of the other units, because you do get the diminishing returns for stacking up this much damage reduction. He already gets 80% damage reduction from his weapon on foe's first attack, so Gambit is only going to be adding another 10% to that. It is going to be helpful a lot more on the follow-up attacks of the enemies, because then it is going to be giving you that 50% damage reduction, and Gambit along with Miracle or Aether is going to be giving you 15 true damage per hit. So it can be useful, but there are definitely other options that you could consider for his slot B. Attack defense clash is unfortunately one of the few options that a Cavalier can run, so it could be used for the attack and defense debuff neutralization. And then you can also run alarm attack defense, which is easily going to be the best slot C skill for him because it gives him the Canto 1 status, which is going to be going well with his weapon, and he can fully activate his weapon. And because he already gives himself the 2 status effects with his weapon, and then he can run the 3rd one in the slot, so you can always use him with the prime skill. He's a really good user of the prime skill, and he can also run no quarter as a special, which is going to be a lot more helpful compared to Aether or Miracle because it provides you with the damage reduction piercing. Because Cavaliers don't really have too many options, God 4 is going to be one of the few options that he can run because he is a bulky unit, and even though there are a lot of nukes with Null Guard effect, it is still good to have for the attack debuff. The damage reduction, like I said, is going to be diminishing returns with the amount of damage reduction he already has in his weapon. So this is going to be one of the builds that you can run on him, and at max investment, I really feel like you can run him with lull attack defense 4. Maybe in the future we get more bulky Cavalier skills. I could definitely see that happening, and then he's going to be enjoying that. But until then, these are going to be the main options that he can run on his slot B. And in his slot C, he wants to run something that can give him another status effect for his weapon. And in slot A, he can easily run the prime skill so that he can have the distant counter effect and make the productive use out of the visible status effects. You can click the link on your screen to check out my breakdown of the new Fire Emblem Engage banner that we have got with Attuned IV, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Ashera after seeing Mauvier. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.